How's it going? I'm Andrew with Investors Hub, and today we're having our bi-weekly conversation with Ted Ohashi. Now, Ted Ohashi writes the Cannabis Report, which is an independent finance blog that has a model portfolio in it, and it gets posted on Investors Hub. And we're going to be talking to him about the cannabis industry and some of the latest news that's been going on there. Please note that our videos are not designed to be direct investing advice. We're here to gather the perspective of different investors. Our channel and our content should just be one stop on the journey of trying to find out where to put your money. So when we last spoke about 2 weeks ago, the whole industry was rallying, and now share prices seem to be slipping. Why is that happening?
Well, for some reason, and it may be related to the Reddit traders, the cannabis stocks really exploded over most of the last 2 weeks. I mean, we had days where the index was up 20%. And in the stock markets, I mean, 20% is a good year, let alone a day. So I think for whatever reason, it got sort of overdone on the upside, and now it's just checking back. Coming off a low for the cannabis stocks as we have been, I prefer it to be much slower and more difficult and to have a lot of negative sentiment around the old theorem, climbing a wall of worry, rather than there being so much optimism out there that stocks just explode. So I think it's going to settle back here for a bit, not too long, but maybe another week or so. And then we'll try again.
So you have a model portfolio that we've talked about a bunch. Talk to me about a few companies in that portfolio and why you're holding on to them right now.
Sure. Well, let's talk about KHRN, which is a company that we've spoken about quite a bit. Last week, they had an investor day where they invited people to listen to a presentation by 5 members of management. And I participated in that call. And the company basically laid out their plans for 2021 and into 2022. And all the pieces that I've been talking about were there. The company's growth in the next 12 to 24 months is going to be very much related to opening of satellite clinics where doctors can prescribe all sorts of medications, including cannabis-based ones. And so, I can see that, say, in that period of time, they might open 8 to 10 clinics in Colombia. They're talking about opening such medical cannabis clinics in Mexico. They've discussed Brazil and Peru. And so, there's going to be a lot of expansion over the next 12 to 24 months that I'm very confident will happen. So I'm very happy to stick with that one. KHRN is one of my favorites. I think 1933 would qualify there as well. It's a company that some management was parachuted in about the middle of last year. They did some extreme cost cutting, and they focused on the sale of flower in Nevada, which is going very well. In fact, they expect to reach capacity in about March or April of this year. And they just recently announced plans to expand their cultivation capacity starting around that time. It's a building that they had built for hemp. It's on the same property. I've seen both facilities, and you can walk from one to the other in about 10 seconds. And so, again, there's a company where I'm very confident that the recovery and growth in sales and the gross margin is going to continue to expand no matter what the markets do, the stock markets do. So there's a couple that I think I'm really confident in. I know very well. I like the management. I like their plans. And so whether the stocks go down from here or hopefully up from here, I'm very happy to be in them.
So SPACs are big in the news, and something popped up recently that I saw. There's a cannabis company called Parallel that is reverse merging with the SPAC Series acquisition, and they're going to be listed on the Canadian Stock Exchange, NEO. What do you know about them?
First of all, SPACs are special purpose acquisition companies, and so they've been around for quite some time. They call them blind trusts or blank checks or whatever term you want to use. And basically, the initial investors put their money in not knowing what the company is going to do. And the reason that makes some sense is that the company that they acquire is generally a private company, and it's a much cheaper, faster way for that private company to go public. And so that's what SPACs are all about. The one that you mentioned, I think, is going into the cannabis industry. And my analysis of the history of SPACs is you don't necessarily want to get into them before you know what they're going to do. That just goes against my nature. And a lot of these companies, when they announce what they're going to do, the shares don't necessarily do that well. Once you know what they're going into and you can analyze the company and you can make some estimates of what you think are going to happen with revenues and the bottom line, then I think investing in these SPAC-related issues makes a lot of sense. So when CERA is finished their acquisition and we see what all the terms and conditions are and what revenues are going to look like, I think that's a very good time to invest in them. There's another one locally that I've looked at. The trading symbol is GRAM, GRAM, and it is already in a cannabis business, and so it's a company that you can look at and analyze, and it looks quite good. I've been pondering whether to add it to the portfolio or not, and so it's another one that I think is worth consideration. SPACs have been around for quite some time in one form or another. They've had different names, and they generally come out when markets are high, which is what the markets are doing right now. I mean, I'm talking about like the Dow and the Toronto Stock Exchange, because it requires people to really put money up before they know what's going on. And so you have to have a fair degree of optimism in the marketplace to be able to get people to do that. So we're in that phase where SPACs are there, they're hot, and people are willing to participate in them. Me, I would wait until I know what I'm getting into before I get into them.
Any additional thoughts?
No, I think it's a time to ride out this correction in the cannabis companies. The cycle in cannabis stocks is still very low and has tremendous upside. And so I would just stick with it. Make sure that you're confident in your holdings, the business model of your holdings, and don't try and outguess the market.
I appreciate you guys watching. And if you want to leave a like, comment, or subscribe to the channel, that would be super duper helpful. It's the best thing you could do to help us grow. And I'll see you again soon.